So this is a really quick video about CarBuzz's story, June 27, 2022. The Challenger Tomahawk is a sweet name for Dodge's next EV muscle car. So it says, ever since the Dodge Viper bowed out of production in 2017, American car enthusiasts have begged for some sort of successor. Though it's unclear if the Viper name will ever be brought back from the dead, Dodge obviously still has plans to build performance cars, including an all-electric Challenger muscle car. According to a recent trademark filing uncovered by CarBuzz, the Challenger may not be Dodge's only performance flagship for much longer. FCA US, a part of the larger Stellantis group, filed for the name Tomahawk on June 23, 2022, with the USPTO. This name was first used on a four-wheeled motorcycle concept with a Viper V10, but the trademark is expressly intended to cover the categories of land vehicles, namely passenger automobiles. So basically, if you do remember, the Tomahawk was actually the name for a four-wheeled motorcycle that Dodge had built as a concept, and they had intended to take it into production. Unfortunately, I guess they weren't paying attention or didn't realize was that when you have four wheels on a automobile, it's automatically called a car. It's referred to as a car. A motorcycle has two wheels. So if something has four wheels, it becomes a car, and then it has to be, legislated as a car. It has to fit into all of the NTHSC's standards for car, which means that now you got to have a cabin, you got to have airbags, so forth and so on. So therefore, the Dodge Tomahawk never went into production. It just stayed a concept. And first of all, if you even looked at that thing, you'd be crazy to ride around on something like that, because that's the kind of thing that looks like it could easily get you killed, because you'd probably be speeding on it and then hit something and just, next thing you know, you're an organ donor. All right, so anyway. Says Dodge last used the Tomahawk name in 2015 for a 2,590 horsepower concept vehicle in the Gran Turismo 6 video game. This version of the Tomahawk packed a Viper V10, but added a quad-stage pneumatic power unit to deliver compressed air that could drive the front wheels. But since this car came out 7 years ago, prior to any of Dodge electrification announcement, we seriously doubt it will use any internal combustion engine. The new trademark filing lines up with a previous announcement stating Dodge would reveal 3 new muscle cars at the Speed Week between August 12th and August 20th of this year. The 3 cars revealed over consecutive days will cater to present muscle cars, gateway muscle cars, and future muscle cars, the latter confirmed to be electric. One will be a final hurrah for solo combustion, the gateway model, a plug-in hybrid muscle car, and the third we expect to be the Challenger EV. Which one of those could be called the Tomahawk is anyone's guess. We suspect the Tomahawk's name will be used for some kind of electric or hybrid machine, with the latter possibly pairing the legendary Hellcat V8 with multiple electrical motors. It's also possible that Dodge will drop the Hellcat moniker when it switches to electric vehicles instead of opting for Tomahawk. If that's the case, the Dodge Challenger Tomahawk is a pretty sweet handle for an EV muscle car of this caliber. Of course, we could be way off base, and FCA actually plans to use Tomahawk as a trim name for a Jeep product. Trailhawk, Trackhawk, etc. Either way, we'll find out soon enough. Now, to tell you the truth, that actually sounds more logical. Like if they're going to name all of these Jeeps Hawk for some stupid reason, I think, as I said it a million times, and I'm going to just go into it really quickly. This is a picture right here of the Tomahawk, and as you can see, it has 4 wheels. It looks like some shit from a cyberpunk video game add-on. And that thing looks like it could be fast, but it also looks like it could get you killed really easy. And that's another picture of the Tomahawk from the side. I gotta say, that's a really cool looking bike and everything. The problem is it's not a bike. It's got 4 wheels, so technically it's considered a car. So the state legislatures and the federal government basically killed this thing. And it's too bad because, I'm pretty sure somebody out there, people would have bought it, But this is the kind of thing that before you even ride it, you got to sign your organ donation card, because more than likely you're going to end up giving my uncle the pair of kidneys he needs after a lifetime of smoking, eating lots of sugar, and ruining his pancreas, getting diabetes, and, you know, fucking up his blood pressure, having stroke, and messing up his kidneys. Now, this is some concept photo of an SRT product, but for the most part, as I'm going to get into, SRT is pretty much dead. This bro car culture, it's pretty much dead, and electric vehicles are going to basically kill it all off. So this is a photo of an SRT race car. You can already tell this is never going to happen, and if it does, it won't be street legal. Then they're never going to make anything even remotely like this, you know. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't, because it wouldn't be street legal. Not to mention, you see that there's no mirrors on it. They probably want to use like those cameras. That's not street legal. Hyundai in Korea has like the cameras and stuff, but you can't do that here in America. So this is actually a picture of the actual filing of the patent, and they're calling it a standard character mark. It was filed on June 23rd, and they have all of the information right there. Personally, if this is the best they can come up with, and so far it looks like this is what the Dodge electric vehicle is going to be, then I am absolutely glad that I decided to pre-order a Cadillac Lyriq electric all-wheel drive vehicle, because if this is the best they could come up with, an electric Dodge Challenger, then, I mean, what can I say? But it's obvious that all they're doing is cutting costs. They've built these Challengers up the ass. These things are everywhere. I see fast ones. I see slow ones. The sad thing is, everybody looks at a Challenger who doesn't know anything about cars, and they automatically assume all of them are fast. The V6s produce about 300 horsepower. They're reasonably okay as a passenger vehicle. In fact, that's pretty much the extent of what you'd expect a passenger vehicle to be. The V8 5.7s are pretty fast. And then you have, obviously, the 6.4 SRTs. They're faster, they're louder. And then you have, obviously, the Hellcat, which is basically the top trim of the Challenger and the Charger. The problem is that Hellcats have been around too long. And if they're going to release this as an electric vehicle and it's just going to be a Challenger electric vehicle, it's like, you know, I'm sorry. I would actually feel better about it if they were releasing the Challenger and the Charger simultaneously as electric vehicles. But this whole idea about trying to keep the engines and trying to keep Hellcat engines in these cars, it's stupid. First of all, the batteries in these cars force these cars to weigh more than 4,000 pounds, because what you have is a very flat battery floor, basically just like the Tesla, in just about all of these cars. Some of them take it a step further. They put like a battery pack towards the trunk, or they put a battery pack towards the front. You end up with a 50-50 weight distribution. You end up with a very low center of gravity. That makes it very easy to turn these vehicles. That makes them very well to handle on a track. The problem is, if you're talking about adding electric to an engine and making a hybrid, that's really a stupid idea. First of all, it's far more sophisticated, as you can see with these Chevy Bolts and these Chevy Volts. Like, if you compare the two of them, the Chevy Volt had a lot of issues, especially with repairs, because it was more sophisticated. Same thing goes for the Fisker Karma. The Fisker Karma came out using the Volt's design of technology so that it could be a hybrid. You could use gas, and it would power a motor that would produce electricity. The electricity would drive the electric motors. It's too sophisticated. Tesla has, I have to give Tesla their props. Even though they make shitty interiors, Tesla has basically proven that it makes way more sense to have a battery and to have wheels with electric motors driving them. The Plaid mode Tesla does over 200 miles an hour. The thing charges itself from 0 to full in like an hour of supercharging, possibly 2 hours tops of home step 2 charging maybe. And they've basically proven that it just makes more sense to do it that way. I've driven every single car being made by Hyundai and Kia. I just drove the Hyundai Genesis GV60. I had driven the Kia EV6. I had driven the Ioniq 5 before that. All of these are basically the exact same car. The only difference is the interior trim. The GV60 had heated, cooled massage seats, heated steering wheel, panel roof. The Kia EV6 had everything except the massage seats. And the Ioniq 5 basically had, it was very, very basic, but you could order it with more equipment. And Hyundai and Kia have been doing a very good job showing you what an electric car should be. Tesla has done the same with the 3 and the Y. It's just that those are very bare interiors, while you have the Tesla Model S and the Tesla Model X that are what you really want. Unfortunately, they cost way too much. They're $90,000. There are a lot of people who fooled themselves into believing that they didn't want the Model X or the Model S because, they're too big. That's bullshit. They didn't want the Model S or the Model X because those cars are $90,000. Those cars, either they start at 90, they easily exceed 100, and they go up to 150. At least with the Model 3 and the Model Y, even at their most expensive, you're probably looking at $70,000 for a performance variant. And then you have a little something to brag about. You have a relatively fast, small electric car that you can put your family in. The only downside is neither the Model Y nor the Model 3 are very big. If you're a very small family, they're okay, but they're not very big. Now, as far as Chrysler goes, Chrysler and Stellantis, Fiat, Jeep, Dodge, whatever you want to call them at this point, the American car makers are just catching up, and Chrysler seems, in my opinion, to be way behind. They should have already had an electric vehicle fielded by now. The last thing that they put out was the Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid, and that was supposed to get 80 miles to a gallon when you charged it and when you put the fuel in it, because it was a hybrid. Then, using that exact same technology but upgraded, they put it into the Jeep Wrangler. I made a video driving the Jeep Wrangler, and I actually like the 4xe Jeep Wrangler. It's not very fast. It's just that for driving a Wrangler, I felt that it was actually pretty nice to drive because it was, it was under the electric mode. It was silent, and it was a pretty comfortable drive. And it was pretty, first of all, if you have a Wrangler, nobody really understands or cares what kind of engine you got. They just look at you and they see that you've got a Wrangler. Real car guys may look at it and say, oh, yeah, that person's got the Hemi 392 in it. Yeah, okay, cool. But for the most part, the Hemi 392, when that thing came out, gas was like $4 a gallon. And at this point, with gas hovering around $5 a gallon as $5.25 for premium, as we're approaching 4th of July weekend, I mean, it's unsustainable. Honestly, the reality is, I've been purchasing SRT products since before they were cool. Like, I had the SRT 300, I had the SRT 300 2012, the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT, obviously the Dodge Charger Hellcat. And the reality is, it's like, at this point, those prices, it's just unsustainable. It's like the company itself is not going to keep making these things. That's why I think these people talking about electrifying it plus having the engine, yeah, they'll very well prove me wrong. Maybe they'll put out a hybrid, but it doesn't make sense. They have enough problems with the internal combustion engine to have enough problems. They had a lot of problems with the manual Challengers that were hooked up to these Hellcats. So what they ultimately did when they made the Hellcat wide body is they got rid of the manuals entirely. Same thing goes for the Demon. I'm sure a lot of people out there would have liked to have a Demon with the 6-speed Tremec transmission. But the issue was that the Hellcat and the Demon engine were so powerful that they were stripping the gears in like the first and second gear. They're stripping the gears. Those cars sat in the freaking dealerships trying to get fixed. So the reality is we're moving to a situation where there's no more transmissions. There's going to be an electric battery. There's going to be electric motors. And there's going to be electric steering. And that's it. And they can take that platform and they can put anything on that platform they want. Like the platform that they have is basically a flat battery floor, and it's got 4 wheels on it. Maybe it has 2 motors, maybe it has 3, depending upon like how powerful the car is. But after that, they can put any design on top they want. They can make it a Jeep Grand Cherokee. They could make that same platform into a Challenger. They can make the same platform into a Charger. I mean, you know, it's like I pretty much think what Chrysler's going to do is they're going to release this Challenger as an electric Challenger. And they're going to release that regardless whatever they call it. And then right after that, they're going to follow up with the Charger, which makes a lot of sense considering the name, Dodge Charger, electric Charger. And then right after that, you're going to have, or probably around the same time, you're going to have the Jeep electric vehicle, which is going to be obviously be smaller. It's going to probably be about the same size as the Compass or the Cherokee at most. And then possibly after that, you'll see something else. But see, I really think Chrysler dropped the ball with this. They should have built the Chrysler 300 as an EV. The Chrysler 300 still sells pretty well. They should have, in fact, no, they should basically have done exactly what they did with the Hemi engine. They should have had the Magnum, they should have had the Charger, the Challenger, and the 300. Those four cars, Chrysler, I've said this 100,000 times, Chrysler really, really fucked up with those 4 cars and the way that they presented them. I will never stop insisting that Chrysler made a horrendous mistake canceling the Magnum. Ultimately, I believe what they were doing was they were trying to force more people to go towards the Jeep product by canceling the Magnum. That's kind of evident when you look at the Dodge Journey. The Dodge Journey is a car that has been universally panned by critics. But strangely enough, the Dodge Journey has sold extremely well in Canada and North America, or wherever it's been sold, it's sold extremely well. It's big, it's spacious, it actually has a very comfortable ride. And the thing about it is, despite the fact it only had 2 rows for the first and the second row passengers instead of having 3 rows, people needed the extra space in order to carry stuff around, but they wanted something that looked good, and it looked good. The Magnum looked good. During the Chrysler bankruptcy threat in 2008, the Magnum was canceled. Some people, and I've had this argument 100 times, and I will never stop arguing this point. The Magnum never received the newer V6, the Pentastar engine. It never received the updated interior that you got in the Chrysler 300, such as the one that I had in 2012 or the 2011. It never got the Uconnect 8 whatever inch screen. It never got the interior panoramic roof. The Magnum is a product that would have succeeded, and they basically killed it in a time right before having SUVs became the big thing. Had the Magnum, with its lower ground clearance and its better handling, been available and had been sold with the newer Pentastar, the 5.7, the 6.4, and the Hellcat engine, I guarantee you the Magnum would have been successful. This could have been a great car to have along with the Chrysler 300, the Dodge Charger, and the Dodge Challenger. 4 cars. 4 different styles. Chrysler fucked it all up. Just fucked it all up. They just gave it up, fucked it up, and then they wanted to blame everybody else. To add insult to injury, we never got a Magnum Hellcat, but we never even got a Chrysler 300 Hellcat. And the shame of it was I never wanted a Dodge Charger Hellcat. Yeah, the Dodge Charger looked good. Yeah, the Dodge Challenger looked good, but the interiors are dirt cheap, and I didn't like them. My Chrysler 300 2012 was an awesome car. It was big, spacious, fast, and you got to remember, this came out before any of the Hellcats came out, and I just loved the way this car looked. When I would drive around in this car, I swear, I would get out of this car. I'd park this car in front of places. Like, I'd go to a store. I'd park in front of places. I'd get out. People were asking me, was I hiring? Some people thought, my neighbors thought I was a drug dealer, for God's sakes. They'd always ask me, do I sell weed? Some of them, like, they'd ask me, and I've never dealt in drugs or anything like that. It's just that it was a cool-looking car. It was very professional, and it didn't cost a lot. I didn't want a Mercedes E-Class. I liked the S-Class, but I never wanted a Mercedes E-Class. The Chrysler 300 SRT was like having the best of a Mercedes E-Class without having to spend that kind of money. Now, for Chrysler to not give me... First of all, they stopped making the 300 SRT in 2014. They left it only to Dubai and to Australia. So that's number one. Why they took it out of America and they never gave my car the 8-speed, which it only had... My car had a 5-speed. They never gave it the 8-speed, and the 8-speed was what was really necessary to make the 6.4 and ultimately the 6.2 supercharged Hellcat engines really come alive. They never gave my car the 8-speed. I would have gladly traded in my car. I was waiting for it. I wanted to trade my car in for a 300 Hellcat. They never made it, and they only put the 8-speed in fucking Dubai and Australia. As far as I'm concerned, that was a betrayal. That was a betrayal. Having SRT written all over my car, I loved having it on there. People ask, what kind of car is that? And I explain it to them, talk to them about it, and tell them about it. Not giving me an SRT with the 8-speed, not giving me the Hellcat 300, that was a betrayal. That's what that was. It was an absolute betrayal. There's nothing more to it than that. And then, to add insult to injury, they took what was basically like a highly sought-after SUV, the Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT. Everybody, like, no matter where I drive my SRT Jeep, somebody comments about how good it looks. I've kept it in good condition. I haven't modded it at all because I hate mods. I want my car to look exactly the way it rolled out the factory, as if it's a piece of art. They had every opportunity to make the Jeep Grand Cherokee Hellcat a perfect product. They fucked it up so badly that they basically created something that looked just like all of the rest of them. And here's the problem. The Jeep Grand Cherokee has sold so many units. They sell like 250,000 WK2s every single year. The problem is, without extreme distinctive looks, it looks just like everything else. They didn't give it a Hellcat hood. Now, mind you, some people were full of shit, and they're like, yeah, well, maybe it hurts the wind resistance. Yeah, well, guess what? The Durango Hellcat got that fucking hood. They didn't give it anything special, no special fog lights. I have a set of fog lights on my car that's a strip of LEDs. They could have doubled that strip of LEDs, and that would have made it look better than what the fuck they came up with, this bullshit. All they did was they took away the fog lights, and that's it. The regular SRT model has fog lights. This one doesn't. Yet you're paying $100,000. They didn't give it the Hellcat wheels. The Hellcat wheel, they could have had Hellcat wheels just like they had on the Challenger and the Charger when they first came out. And everybody would have said, oh, okay, those wheels are Hellcat wheels. And then the motherfuckers didn't even give you the Hellcat badge despite having the Hellcat engine in it. But guess what? Just as I made fun of it with my Count the Trackhawk videos, those trucks sat on the lot for a year, and after they started depreciating, then Chrysler took $10,000 off. People started buying them. People started buying them used. And sure enough, now with gas prices hovering above $5 a gallon, everybody who I know who bought a Trackhawk has pretty much given that Trackhawk back and traded it because either it got too expensive or some of them got tired of the fact that having that truck, nobody gave a fuck about it. And then, to add insult to injury, the Dodge Durango Hellcat came out. And when that came out, that showed everybody what the Jeep Grand Cherokee Hellcat. Now, I'm not saying that Trackhawk. I won't use that stupid word. As far as I'm concerned, these people who modify Trackhawks, and they have, it looks like a chicken. Like first of all, the picture that they have of the bird doesn't even look like a hawk. It looks like a fucking eagle. That's the problem. It's like if you're going to make a brand, you can't fuck it up. You have to keep it consistent. But they screwed it all up. So now what you have is you have a chicken hawk. That's what I call it. I call it the chicken hawk. And that's just that. I'm just so sorry. They screwed it all up. The only thing I can actually say that they got right was in building the Ram TRX. They made it really big, really huge, and really fucking fast. Unfortunately, the thing isn't street legal in some places, especially here in Manhattan, especially considering it's like 7,000 plus pounds. And you have to actually treat it as if it's a truck. I mean, it's not a regular street legal truck here. And you can easily get a ticket, or you can have a situation where you tear other people's mirrors off just trying to drive down the street. And I do love the truck. The problem is, who can really use and buy that thing unless you live out in like Pennsylvania or something? It's like they had a perfect opportunity to have 5 cars that each had, what is it? A V6, a V8, a supercharged V8, and at this point, they could have had, a full electrification, and they could have made all of them EVs in order to continue their line. Instead of doing that, what do they have to offer us? An electric Challenger. That's it. So long story short, I decided to take my money and go elsewhere. The Mercedes EQS wasn't big enough. I thought it was going to be the size of the S-Class. It's not. I've decided to put my money into a Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive. I'm going to have it for 3 years. If everything works out, I'll keep it longer. If Dodge somehow figures out a way to impress me, maybe I'll trade this in for that. But for right now, I'm sorry, I have to move on from Dodge as a customer.